Hello there. This is the show you're looking for. Welcome back to another episode of Lunch and Learn, a show about technology tools and how teachers and staff can use them to enhance teaching and learning. I'm your host, Obi Gleim Kenobi. And with me in the studio today, I have a couple guys. I actually have a Sith Lord, Darth Tron.
I find the lack of grade submission disturbing.
Twitter pod and also looking at the chat pod for your questions and comments today during the show is Jedi Master Jeff Thornton.
So glad to be here with you today. Going to use the Force and the Twitter today. So if you have any questions or comments, please be sure to send those out with the hashtag EVSC LunchLearn or add your comments and questions in the chat pod for YouTube.
Okay, thanks, Jeff. So first up today, let's see, what is our first topic?
I feel a disturbance in the Force happened yesterday.
Yes. Yesterday afternoon, we had a little problem with the email, and in fact, it wasn't just EVSC, it was actually worldwide. There was a phishing scheme going on where there was emails going out that looked like it was from Google Docs, where somebody was trying to share a Google Doc file with you. And if you clicked on that Open in Docs button, it took you to a page that a hacker set up to get people's Google accounts hacked. So hopefully, you didn't click on it, but, if you did, I'm going to go ahead and read a little bit here. I got a piece of paper, got an email. So here's the official statement from the EVSC. If you haven't read it yet, EVSC teachers, on what's actually going on. So I'm going to ad-lib a little bit, kind of summarize it. So we have been in contact with Google, and Google has actually put some stuff out on the news saying that they are aware of it. They've shut down all those emails. They've also shut down the sites. So we're good there. So right now at this time, it is safe to use your computer. It's also safe to use Gmail and also Google Docs and Google Drive. So if you are sharing things with people, you can go ahead and still do that. Here's a little quick tip. If you get an email that says they want to share something with you and it's a blue button, that's old. That's the way Google used to do sharing of files when you would get an email. They don't do that anymore. It looks different. So and nowadays it actually gives you a title of a document. Read the email before you click anything. Okay, does it make sense? Also see who it's from. It may be from one of your friends, but it also may have somebody else on the email. So always look at the from box to make sure that everybody in that area is legit. Okay, so if you see anything weird, just email the guy you know or the gal you know and find out if they truly shared that with you or not. So at this time, there's nothing you can do, okay, that you need to do. But if we get more information from Google that stresses that we need to do any further action, we'll be sure to reach out to you at that time. And also, thank you for reaching out to the IT helpline yesterday when all this happened. It was it helped us to actually assess how many users this actually affected. So the Office of Technology really appreciates all the contacts to the IT helpline yesterday. Okay, so that is all about Google. So, Jeff, what's up next? And by the way, on the YouTube video, if you go to the description, there's a link to this page. If you actually want to scroll through it later, I do have some links to things that you can actually go through and get more detailed information. I'm just going to be doing the highlights to make this fast because we know your time is valuable. So if you want to right now, you can pause the video and open up a new tab and go to this web page right here. So I'm going to zoom in real quick. There you go. All right, so pause, then come back. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with tip number 1. Before submitting, recalculate your grades. Well, why do I need to do that? Well, because sometimes RDS has a tendency to not recalculate all the time. Okay, if this has ever happened to you, you know what I'm talking about. You put in grades, you're looking at the kid's total grade on the left-hand side for the grading period, and it's not changing. Even though you're entering scores, they're just not recalculating. So it's a good practice when you're ready to submit. Before you go to do those steps to submit, recalculate. Okay, so you'll go to tools and then down to recalculate grading period and semester grades. Tip number 2, check your course setup. And I have some links to resources here on the ICATS website about course setup and also grading scale setup. So I get a lot of emails a lot of times on RDS Gradebook issues, and sometimes the issues center around the teacher's course setup. The course setup, and by the way, if you are getting those pop-ups that say you do not have a grading scale set for your grading period or your semester, this is where you fix that pop-up. Makes it go away, okay? So let's talk about each of these panels in the course setup. First of all, and by the way, these are never highlighted green until you click on them. So yes, they are tabs. So when you click on grading period total, you'll notice here's a drop down for setting a grading scale. Okay, you can also either have your grades calculated based on total points or a weighted scale type thing based on your categories of assignments and tests and so on and so forth. Something that sometimes teachers have set that causes problems. Teachers email me and say, hey, why are my kids' grades all so low? It's because of this feature right here. Treat all grading periods in the semester as one continuous grading period. So what they got third grading period is what they started off with fourth grading period. If you didn't want that to happen, if you wanted fourth grading period to start off fresh, uncheck that and then save it. And then you'll notice, and you may have to go back and recalculate your grades again to get it to refresh the update, okay? So recalculate grades, tip number 1, make sure you revisit that if it doesn't change the grades. All right, so that's for grading period total. Semester total, make sure there's a grading scale here. Also, just like grading period, either total points or use a weighted scale. High schools, they do their grading periods. I think it's 40, 40, 20. I think is what they do. And of course, each school is different, so find out from your school if you guys do weight the semester somehow, find out what that needs to be. And then the last panel is drop scores. So for each of your category type of assignments you can put into RDS, you can actually have it automatically drop the lowest score for a certain category of assignment. So check that too, okay? If you want to do that automatically, or unless you just want to do it manually. And then the last and final step, and I'm going to zoom in on this, is how you save. If you want the same thing done for all your classes, choose the very bottom button, which says it's going to save it for all grading periods and semesters, and it's going to do it for all your courses. Of course, if you just want to do it just for the one course, click the button above. All right? So that's tip number 2. Tip number 3, how to submit your grades. And I have buttons here that you can click on for more detailed information. Again, I'm just doing the highlights. Grading grades, kindergarten, first and second, you all have different procedures than what third grade on has. So check those out. Those resources are on the ICATS website. So, but here's an overview of what we do with submitting grades. Step number 1, you need to change your view of your grade book from the grading period view to semester 2 totals. Okay? Once you... Thank you, BB-8. And then next step is you got to make sure that you have view letter grades turned on. Okay? When we submit grades to the grading book system, we do not submit grade values as in numbers. Okay? No percentages, no raw values. It's letter grades. Okay? That's what goes on the report card. So make sure you have view letter grades turned on. Step number 3, you'll notice that there will be columns, and you won't see them just yet because it won't happen until next week, but you'll notice some columns that will be unlocked. Okay, in these unlocked columns, you can go in and manually change scores for the grading period and the semester. So like if a kid is borderline on, let's say they have an 89.3, but you don't want to go in and they got a B right now, and you want them to have an A, well, don't feel like you got to go in and create an assignment to make that happen. You can go here into the grade book, semester 2 totals, and manually change that score, okay? And if you need to, if they're on the borderline on the semester grade as well, change it there too, okay? And the box will appear orange, so that way you know it was manually changed. Once you have your grades put in for the grading period, you've also entered in any comments you want for the grading period. And high school, some middle schools enter in a final exam score and check all the semester grades out. Now you're ready to submit final grades. So you'll go to Tools, Submit Final Grades, and then you're done. Now, one little quick note, kindergarten, first and second grade, you guys enter in pass, fail grades. Now, we know that kindergarten and first grade don't actually use the report card that the RDS Gradebook has, but we need the scores for their permanent record. So they still have to be done there, even though kindergarten and first grade print their own report cards. So thank you, teachers, for doing that. Tip number 4. Do you have a new student right here at the end of the grading period, right when you're submitting, and you don't have any grades to give them? Grades K through 8 can use either NA or N as a score. So when you go to the semester 2 totals, you can enter in either NA or N, okay? They got to have a score there. Now, you might be thinking, well, they came from a school in the EVSC. Well, maybe you guys can find out from the other school what their grades were and get those entered in right away. But if you can't in time, go ahead and get the NA or the N put in the box. High schools have to use N only. NA is not an option, okay? But that's not a problem. It's just one less letter. It makes it go faster, right? So that's what you have to do there. Now, if grades come in later, the counselor can actually update those for you without you having to do anything. Tip number 5. How many times can I submit grades for a course? Great question. And guess what? You're not going to get frozen in carbonite for submitting grades too many times. There's no limit. Keep doing it, okay? And what will appear on the report card is what you submit last, okay? So whatever you did the last time you submitted grades will be what will be on the report card, okay? Tip number 6. Is there a way to see what I have submitted to the system? The answer is yes, my young Padawan. If you go to the reports menu and go down and select submitted grades report, you can actually see what grades have been submitted to the system the last time you did it. Tip number 7. Is there a report I can view for attendance? Sometimes schools actually, and by the way, here's a link to that resource on the ICATS website, which has more information. So, but when you go to the attendance screen in RDS, if you click on summary, that's how you get to that information. And again, if you go to that information on the ICATS website, that'll give you all the steps that you need to do in order to pull that information up. So like if you need perfect attendance and things like that, you have that ready to go. And our last tip, tip number 8. How do I change a grade on a report card after it has already been printed? Sometimes there's last minute extra credit. Sometimes students all of a sudden turn it in on the last day, some work. And out of the goodness of our teachers' hearts, sometimes they actually do accept it. I'm not saying that they have to, kids, if you're actually watching this, okay? So get your work turned in on time, all right? So, but it's up to the school, okay? Teachers, once the window has closed for submitting grades, teachers can't change anything, okay? So if there is a grade change that is needed that is not right on the report card when it's printed, the school counselor and the administration there in the building can actually make those changes in the system. In schools, a lot of times what they do for communicating with the parents on what the grade is, sometimes they'll mark out the grade and write what the grade is, initial it, or maybe even add on a note to make sure that Johnny didn't change their C to a B. So anyway, it's all up to the school. So you guys decide, talk that over, and figure that out. But the change does have to be made by an administrator. Teachers can't do that. So here's the grade submit window. Next Tuesday, May 9th, everybody, elementary, middle school, and high school, at 7:30 in the morning, the grade window opens. Doesn't mean you have to start then, but just so you know, it does open at that time. And we do have a staggered closing window. So elementary closes on May 15th at 3:30. Middle schools is May 16th at 3:30 at the end of the day. And high schools, it's May 22nd. You might be thinking, well, wait a minute. That's after school gets out. We get out on the 19th. High schools have final exams. A lot of times that weighs in. Sometimes there's, big essays and stuff that they actually have to read and grade. So we got to give high schools extra time to get those all graded and submitted. So that's why it's up to May 22nd. Although they can grade and submit at any time if they get them all done. So, but we want to make sure that teachers have that time to get that finished. Very soon, students will be leaving your classroom, well prepared for the next challenge soon to come. And very soon, you'll be ready for some much-needed rest and relaxation. Because you deserve it. Thank you for doing a great job this year and all your hard work. So this is like, the one last step getting, to the summer break. So down here at the very bottom on this resource, there's a link to all of our gradebook resources on the ICATS website. And also down at the bottom is if you have questions, the RDS Gradebook support page where you can reach out and find solutions to questions you may have. So let's check in with Master Jedi Thornton.
Hey, I've got a couple questions here I wanted to throw your way and see what you would say about these. One of them is, let's say I get to that report that has my final submitted grades. Can I print that?
Yes, you can. So the submitted grades report is actually a PDF. So you can save it to your computer, you can print it out, you can do whatever you want with it. Just make sure that if you do, do submit grades again, that you update the submitted grades report if you're wanting to look at that from time to time. So
sure, I was just wondering, if people wanted to have a record of that. So that's a good thing.
You can definitely do that.
Perfect. And then I think you covered it on that last bit of the slide there, but I was wondering, is there a place on the ICATS page or somewhere where I can get in contact with someone if I have a question about maybe my grades? I know that I followed all the steps and things just don't look right, or if I'm having problems, is there a place I can contact?
So you guys aren't seeing my screen right now, but anyway, the link at the bottom of the page there will take you to a support page that we have special on the ICATS website. You don't have to go to it, but from there, the support page actually will take you through a series of steps of seeing if it'll answer some of your questions for you before you actually do submit a web desk ticket. So in all those web desk tickets for gradebook, some of them come to me when the techs in the buildings can't necessarily answer them. So, but just let you know that they do come to me and I can help you out.
Sure. So probably a good practice then is they can check out the ICATS page for the resources for the gradebook. If that doesn't get it, maybe ask a colleague, and then if not, then go to that support tab on the ICATS page.
Exactly.
All right.
Exactly.
Well, that's all the questions I've got, so we'll turn it back to you for the upcoming shows.
All right. Thanks, Jeff. So upcoming shows, we have 2 more shows coming up yet this year. So we have, and by the way, on the ICATS website, there is a post that's up about upcoming May 2017 Lunch and Learn show schedule. So if you go to that and scroll down, we have 2 more shows. Next Tuesday's show has been canceled due to a scheduling conflict, but next Thursday we'll have Tim Wilhelmus in the house. He'll be sharing some opportunities for summer professional development. Now, as you may or may not know, we do not have an EREV this summer.
This is madness.
So, I agree, C3PO, but just to let you know, there are some other opportunities, and many of them close by. Okay, so Tim will get us up to date on that, so that way, if you want to get some summer plans for some professional learning, you can actually do that. And then our very last show, which will be Tuesday, May 16th, is all about backing up your computer data to make sure that you do have a copy, because things happen with technology, right? We saw that yesterday with all the email. So we're going to talk about how to back up your email and how to properly store your classroom technology in your room. Because once you walk out the door for the summer, and then you come back in the fall, you want things to be kind of where they were when you left, but sometimes it's not always that way. So we'll show you how to properly store your technology and some tips on that. So, all right. I think that's it, isn't it? So I want to, let's see here. I want to thank Darth Tron and Master Jedi Thornton for
It's been
being
a
with me
pleasure.
today. And want to thank you all for joining us today. Hope you learned a lot and enjoyed the show. Join us next time, next Thursday, for Summer PD Opportunities. And as always, may the 4th be with you.